If you want to see big changes and big manifestations, you've got to grow in big ways. And that also goes with reminding yourself when you're in the trenches and in these tests and lessons, on the other side is your manifestation. Welcome to the Mindset, Magic, and Manifestation podcast hosted by me, Michaela J. Get ready to dive into an action-packed, bougie-based, and spiritually guided experience on all things manifesting your next level Lux life. Let's go. Hey, gorgeous. Welcome back to the Mindset, Magic, and Manifestation podcast with your girl. It is I, the Michaela J, here to teach you how to manifest your next level Lux life. Happy Monday, baby. I'm in the best mood today. I feel energized. I feel well-traveled. I feel well-rested. When I was in Costa Rica, one of the things that I learned about myself very quickly is that 9 hours of sleep does me so well. Like, oh my gosh. You know how everybody needs like a different amount of sleep to like really thrive? For me, a crisp 7 hours always did it. And then in Costa Rica, we were going to bed pretty early because we would have early mornings and you're just tired after like adventuring, traveling, doing workshops and stuff. And I was getting like literally 9 hours of sleep and I would wake up so energized. I would wake up before my alarm. Like I could ease into my day. So I'm back on, 9 hours sleep grind. It's really doing something for me, but I'm happy to be talking to you this Monday. I am really excited about the episode that I'm talking or sharing with you guys today because it's all about getting ahead of learning curves. I have been in this super interesting manifestation season where I am getting so many like lessons and tests from the universe. And I want to share my findings in like a quickie bite-sized episode for you. So that's what we're doing today. And before we dive in, is your booty inside of the manifestation effect? This is my signature manifestation system. This is a full manifestation strategy where your mindset meets inspired action for instant results, baby. It's all things manifestation, the MJ way rolled into one, because honestly, I'm just tired of seeing all the random TikTok hacks and rituals and random journal prompts and random shadow work notebooks like all over the internet when you could just follow one system for manifesting your dream life that works over and over and over again. So if your booty is not in, we are rocking and rolling with the new modules later this month. You get instant access to my library of MMM method trainings, the old trainings inside of the program, and you're getting bonus Q&A sessions this month. So the link's in the show notes when you are ready to hop in and message me on Instagram when you're in so we can celebrate you. But let's get into this. I wanted to sit down today and share that your biggest manifestations will always be on the back end of some of your biggest lessons yet and some of your biggest moments where you are being tested. Big manifestations, big things that you are calling in require a new, bigger version of yourself. So the universe says, hey girl, hey, I heard that you want insert large manifestation here. Whether it's buying your dream home for your family or it's a $5 million company, like you decide, insert here. The universe says, okay, I heard you. I need you to be the $5 million business owner. I need you to be the kind of woman who buys the dream house and buys it effortlessly and makes her down payment effortlessly and doesn't get dysregulated in the process. There are big tests and big lessons that we have to go through to sharpen ourselves into being that person who receives those manifestations, being that person who receives those manifestations. I've been thinking about this so much. And I always notice in myself when I am not setting big manifestation goals, I get like little annoyances or like little inconveniences from time to time where the universe is like, hey, you still in alignment, girl? Like, hey, are we still there? But the moments I get my biggest tests or the things that feels like my whole world is falling apart or everything is feeling really rocky and shaky or sticky. Those are all like my words that I use in those phases. When I notice that, I'm like, oh yeah, I hit the sweet spot. That means I asked for something big. That means there's a quantum leap coming. That means this manifestation I am in the process of acquiring is actually activating me and it's actually taking me outside of my comfort zone. Because when you're leaping outside of your comfort zone, you got to deal with shit that's outside of your comfort zone. So I want you to, one, just take away that little nugget of you've asked for a big manifestation. There is something big you're calling into your life. And so the universe says, hey, I need you to be a completely different version of yourself for that, a bigger version. She needs to hold more. She needs to have a larger capacity. She needs to view herself with higher self-worth. She needs to show up strong. She needs to give it her all every single day. She needs to be unbothered, booked, busy, unbothered. Like I always say, I need you to be these things. And in order to learn those lessons and become that version of yourself, you're going to go through tests. You're going to go through bumps in the road. You're going to go through these lesson moments. I think back to my childhood, and when you like go through trauma or old experiences that weren't exactly ideal, and you look back and you think like, I'm actually so grateful I went through that because it made me the person I am today. I think that all of the time about how I lived alone at a very young age. I'm like, well, yeah, that shouldn't have happened to me, but it did. And I'm so grateful because I'm so independent. I became so strong at such a young age. I learned how to execute when I didn't feel like it because it was my only option. Like I learned all of these lessons, and it might have seemed really heavy and it might have felt so dramatic, but I was learning so much about myself and about who I could be and who I choose to become throughout that process. Those are the big lessons and the tests that the universe is going to put you through, because on the other side, you are that new version of yourself and you are ready for the big manifestations you're calling in. For example, one thing that I've been stepping into as I've been expanding my team and growing my business and making some really big changes behind the scenes, I'm going through kind of a second wind of learning leadership, having higher standards and holding like just standards of excellence in all areas of my life all of the time. And there is a learning curve with that. I've had a couple of situations where things have been thrown my way and I have to choose to be a leader and step up and make things happen and put the pieces back together. And it's all about how I respond to those moments that creates the actual growth. So for example, I had a VIP day with a client. She was in town and we did this amazing, beautiful photo shoot for her. I rented a space. I had my photographer come. We planned out the outfits, the props, everything, a full Pinterest inspo board of everything. And she was taking some photos with sage inside and outside of the space that I had rented. Well, all of us are used to sage and we're like, oh, it smells so good. The space feels so clean and clear. We had a great photo shoot. We took like over 100 photos. Like it was just amazing and magical. The next day, I get a horrible review from the owner of the space that I rented saying like, I walked in, it smelled like cigarettes, like 1 star, would never let her come back again. And I immediately was shocked because I couldn't even tell the smell of the sage was lingering. And I didn't even think, oh, somebody might not be used to this. And this might be a big shock when they come home. And I immediately messaged him and I was like, I was absolutely shocked seeing your review. I want to send my sincerest apologies. We would never smoke cigarettes in your home. It was actually sage. And I just explained the situation without trying to justify anything, but sending like my condolences and my sincere apologies for any inconvenience, frustration that this caused for you, blah, 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 blah. And he never responded. He just sent me a cleaning fee. And I was like, no worries, no worries. Handling it like a leader, handling it like a boss, handling it like somebody who has high standards. Like, was I expecting paying that? No. But like, what am I going to do about it? Am I going to throw a fit? No. The next level version of myself, who's a strong leader, she holds standards of excellence. She understands. She, attempts to make amends. And when something's thrown her way, she just deals with it and moves on. So I decided I'm just going to deal with it and move on, whatever. My card's on file on the website where I book all of my spaces. And I actually got a message from him 1 day later. He kind of came down from his anger and he was like, I believe you. Thank you for this message. We were super frustrated. It was inconvenient because we didn't want to stay in the smoke, whatever. He was like giving me his whole story. And he's like, but since you had reached out so promptly and you were so kind in explaining what was going on, he's like, I'm actually going to remove that cleaning fee as the smell has made its way out. So this is proof that when you decide, I'm going to go for these big things, and you get clear on who do I need to be to have those big things. For me, it was like, okay, I need to be even more of a leader. I need to have even higher standards for myself. I need to be in a vibration of excellence all of the time. And then when I execute, when life throws me a curveball, when the universe throws me a test, and I choose to respond as that version of myself, the problem dissipates immediately. Immediately. It took 1 day later for him to remove the cleaning charge, right? And if I had been super reactive, I'd been really upset, if I had been like, I'm not paying, who knows what would have happened. But since I handled it from a place of like, no worries, booked, busy, unbothered, no problem. I understand. Being understanding, being compassionate, just being grateful of like, you know what, I totally understand. Thank you anyways for letting us use your beautiful space. All of it got to calm down. So where is life? Where is the universe throwing some curveballs your way right now? Where are you being tested? What lessons are wanting to be revealed to you that you are resisting or you are reacting to? A lot of times the universe is testing us, but we refuse to look at the actual lesson. So you get tested over and over and over and over again. And you wonder why am I always hitting either like rock bottom, or why are all these doors constantly being shut in my face? Well, it's because, babe, you're not looking out the window. Like, we're not looking at like, who's on the other side of the door? What's the actual lesson going on? And when we're just refusing the lesson and refusing the test and continuing to imprint the old version of ourselves on the same scenarios over and over and over again, you're never going to have any growth. Then you're always going to have the same vision board. You're always going to make the same amount of money. You're always going to be with the same friends doing the same things over and over and over again. Nothing will change. If you want to see big changes and big manifestations, you've got to grow in big ways. And that also goes with reminding yourself when you're in the trenches and in these tests and lessons, on the other side is your manifestation. That's what gets me through. The moments that I feel frustrated, or I feel maybe scared, or the moments that I'm like, I did not expect this. On the other side is going to be one of your greatest manifestations, one of your biggest manifestations yet. If you can push through and you can remain refined and you can show up in the next level way that you know you want to be, you will always get what's on the other side. The prize is right there. That's why I say, like, don't give up when you're 3 steps away from the finish line. One piece of homework that I want to give you for this Monday Quickie is I want you to get ahead of this learning curve. When an inconvenience comes your way, or something that feels like a test, something that feels annoying, something that it didn't go according to plan, I want you to ask yourself this one question. What is the lesson here? What is the lesson here? Because when you identify the lesson, the actual situation, it gets to solve itself. It gets a lot easier, because the pattern we often follow is we just get frustrated and then we start reacting, and then we're not our higher selves. And then we keep dealing with the situation because the universe is still wanting to teach you that lesson, and everything is longer and it's more frustrating. So the moment you notice something coming up for you, what's the lesson here? What's the lesson here? What am I meant to learn? What is this showing me? What is the lesson here? And if you can find the lesson before it finds you, things will work itself out so easy. Like my perfect example on leadership and having high standards and choosing like how I want to interact with people, the kind of person I want to be, how I want to deal with confrontation or frustrations, or I do something that upsets somebody. How do I want to handle that? Well, I want to handle that as my next level self. And so then everything gets to dissipate. All of the problems get to be solved with ease and with flow, because your next level self, everything's easy and flowy in her life. Okay. What is the lesson here? So this week, I want you to reflect on that question. I want you to ask yourself that anytime something starts to come up, and remind yourself, if you feel like right now I'm like in this season of rock bottom, or I'm ping-ponging back and forth, or doors are being slammed in my face, like where can you rise to the occasion? This is literally the universe asking you, hey, I need you to be your next level self so we can start to create some change here. Where do you need to show up as your next level self? It's not always going to feel easy, but it's very simple. In those moments where my leadership's being tested, it's not easy. A lot of times there's a lot of feelings and it feels very challenging, and it's meant to, because you're operating at a different level. But it's really simple of how you need to execute and how you need to learn to respond and not be reactive to things, and just be like, okay, we've got to deal with this. We've got to move through this. How do I choose to respond to this? How do I choose to deal with this? Let me do that, and let's move. Okay. That is how you're going to start quantum leaping your life, because you're going to become a completely different version of yourself in the process. Different you, different manifestations. Okay. Happy Monday. Knock it out of the park this week. Don't forget, we have a free Facebook group. It's called Mindset, Magic, and Manifestation, just like the podcast. And it's going to be linked for you in the show notes. So if something in this episode stuck out to you, if you're like, holy shit, this is a lesson that I'm learning right now, I didn't realize, I would love for you to share in the Facebook group. You can make a post. We're going to cheer you on for learning your lessons. People in there will hold you accountable to showing up as your next level self. And we've got so many good videos and trainings inside of there too. All right. I will talk to you on Wednesday. Have the best day. Love you so much. Bye. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to leave a 5-star rate and review. I love hearing your takeaways and wins from the podcast in the review section. So don't forget. Love you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.